Got it. All right, everyone's getting set up here.
It was a great day for adaptive athletics today.
It was. I'll address that a little bit here as well. So thanks everyone that's on here right now and prompt at 6:30. I know everyone's kind of still getting in and getting settled, so I'm going to give a minute or two just for a few more people to hop on. We're seeing people still kind of popping in the waiting room. Is that accurate, Laura?
Correct.
Yeah, so we'll give it a minute or two. For those that are here, I appreciate your punctuality. But being as we haven't had an adapted bowling qualifiers meeting, I'd like to give everyone the opportunity to hop in here. So. Let's see what we got here. Latea, do you want to go ahead and get those slides going?
So you want me to share my screen now?
Yep.
Okay.
Laura, we kind of slowed down on the waiting rooms. You're muted.
Yep. As soon as Latea gets her slides up, let's go.
All right, we'll run it. All right, gang. It's a couple minutes after 6:30 here. I'm going to be respectful of everyone's time that is on the call and punctual. And I just want to note that this is going to be recorded. So if there's anything in here that that you weren't able to quite grab quick enough, or if there's something, a point of reference that you want to share with another coach or an athletic director, please know that this, along with the participant guide and a few other things, will be posted on the adapted bowling page that's respective. Well, actually, this information will be on all three, the ASD, the CI, and the PI adapted bowling pages. And then also in the activity pages where there's a column for state tournaments. After this meeting is done, the slides, the video, and we'll throw the participation guide in there as well. So we'll get that going. So, all right, gang, let's get going here. Welcome to the adapted bowling, the first, to my knowledge, adapted bowling state qualifiers meeting. So as Tim alluded to, some of you may have caught earlier, today was a big day in adapted athletics as we had a amendment to bylaw happened at our representative assembly today, where the adapted athletics are now being able to move and have their own individual bylaws per sport. Which is a huge deal for adapted athletics to be able to tailor those bylaws, so the guidance for those individual sports to better help out and be more applicable to the communities that they're serving. So it's pretty exciting to be able to not have ice hockey rules be the base platform for the rules for adapted floor hockey, or have the soccer rules be the base for adapted soccer and softball and so on with bowling as well. So it was a huge day from that extent in the adapted world. The congratulations to the MAAA and the authors of those proposals, as they were well written and collaborated with a lot of other entities to get those written and set up in a way that made them make sense to the representative assembly, the board, and the general community that is centered around adapted athletics. So we're excited for that. We're excited for this bowling tournament. This is only my second experience with adapted athletics, so it is a learning process, and I'm super grateful for those in the league offices that have those experiences, along with Marcus Onsom with the MAAA and Jim Muckenhern, our tournament manager. So moving forward here, I'm going to move into our agenda before we start introducing folks here. So I'm going to just lay out a quick agenda. This meeting, again, being the first one that we have, I want to be quick and respect everyone's time, but I also want to make sure that we're sharing pertinent information that's going to help make our tournament experience go smooth. And what I found is, if people know what to expect, if there is audibles or adjustments that need to be called, that makes it a little bit easier, and we're all in the know on what needs to happen and where it needs to go. So this is our agenda for this evening. We're going to hit, I kind of gave the congratulations and welcome already. We're going to introduce our MSHSL adapted bowling tournament staff. I'm going to talk a little bit about the participation guide. We've got a coach's letter from our tournament manager. We're going to talk a little bit about apparel, and we'll have a few minutes open for questions for all of our staff that's on here, and then we'll do a wrap up and kind of a send off to our tournament starting on Friday. Go ahead, Latea. All right, so tournament staff introduction. I've been sitting here talking to you guys for about 5 minutes here without most of you even knowing my name. Some of you maybe from the adapted floor hockey world, but my name is Phil Archer. I'm with the league now for about a year. I started in June of last year, really started in May coming around, but June officially of last year. I was the athletic director at Cretin-Derham Hall before that, and then I was in the for-profit business world from the time I was done playing professional sports until my time at Cretin-Derham Hall in 2017. So adapted bowling is one of my 2 spring tournaments that I run, and I also take care of marketing and sponsorship along with apparel and contracts for the league. Our tournament assistant support staff is Latea McInnes. Latea is also new with the league. We're excited to have her. She's brought a ton of energy to the office, and she's kind of that warm office mom that kind of keeps everyone together and has kind of that joking and kind of fun personality that kind of creates that warm atmosphere in our office. So it's awesome to have her there with a smile right when you walk in the door in the front office at the league, and she creates a great atmosphere. We've got Jim Muckenhern on here as our tournament manager. As mentioned before, Muck has been around the adapted sports world for quite a while, and to be honest with you, he's my go-to on most things adapted sports and boys and girls lacrosse. And Jim and I had the privilege, or I should say I had the privilege of working with Jim for my first tournament ever last year when I assisted in the boys and girls lacrosse tournament. So we've been working together for about a year now on several different tournaments, and he's a true blessing to have here in this position to guide us for this tournament that's starting on Friday. So also from a league staff perspective, we've got Laura McIntoon here that is going to speak a little bit on our website and some resources that are available for you. And we also have Tim Layton, our director of media, and he will be here. We don't have anything necessarily set for him, but I wanted Tim here in case there were any questions centered around media or bringing anyone from your school to make sure that media coverage is provided. Let's go ahead and move forward, Latea. All right, so I talked a little bit about this participating school guide. So in this participation guide, here we've got just kind of our times, but it's really imperative to make sure that you have access to your adapted bowling participating schools guide. In that participating schools guide, you're going to have things like your schedule of events here. You're also going to have things on, just little pieces from the registration process to using ramps to some information on our lunches and how that entire system is working this year, as well as anything coming down to the souvenir programs and participation certificates. Some of these things we'll cover in detail here. Some of them we're going to leave it to you to be able to hop on those participation guides and utilize that. I would recommend printing off a copy of that and bringing it with you on Friday so that you have that as a reference. So a couple of quick things that I'm going to just touch on real quick on the participation guide is our registration beginning at 7:45 a.m. So it's imperative for the smooth running and operation of this tournament, which ultimately equates to your student athletes and the spectators' experience level. It's imperative that we get started on time. So whatever it is that you've got to do, whether it's working with your AD to make sure busing is there, whether we're working with paras to help make sure that our kids are all ready to go, we've got to make sure that we're in a good spot to be on time, be prepared, and be at that registration when it's time for your team to get going. Our warm-up times are as follows. There for singles, we're at 8:45, doubles at noon, and teams at 2:30. And then our start times generally are 15 minutes following the warm-up times. And then we've got our lunch break is scheduled from 10:45 until 12 o'clock noon. Go ahead. All right, a couple of quick points on our lunch. So last year, I know that there was some backups with lunches and everything, and I believe that had to do a little bit with Bolero having some staffing issues. We've solved that problem this year by doing a pre-order lunch, and many of you have taken advantage of that, and we appreciate you getting those order forms in so that we can give Bolero the best chance of fulfilling all those orders and us creating a smooth, streamlined, orderly process for lunch. So just a couple of quick points here on our lunch break. Those pre-order lunches need to be paid for at registration, preferred with a check. I believe it has to be with a check. I apologize. It has to be with a check at time of registration for the lunches that you have ordered and sent in to Latea with that order form. The pre-orders cannot be adjusted. The close for those pre-orders was yesterday afternoon at 2:00, and those have been already submitted to Bolero so that they could start working on making sure those orders can be fulfilled and everyone can eat lunch in a timely fashion and get back to the bowling. Those lunch tickets will be provided to the coaches of those teams that ordered lunches in your registration packet that you get. So we'll get all that stuff squared away, excuse me, at the registration table, not in the packet, my fault. So those tickets will be distributed to you when you pay at the registration table. The lunches will be served in the pool table room that's just near the registration table. So when you enter the Bolero, the registration tables will be directly in front of you. The pool table room, the pool hall style room, is to the right of those registration tables if you're facing in to the Bolero. And then Bolero will have their concessions available for purchase, but I do want to just remind you that that wait times are going to vary depending upon traffic there. And so if we've got dozens and dozens of people online, obviously your wait for lunch could be a lot longer. If it's a quick time or you want to maybe send some people up there kind of before the lunch period when the traffic's slow, just kind of be mindful of that if you're going to be depending on the concessions. They've got some good food there. I will attest to that, but I can't speak for if that's going to be a super long wait or a super short wait. And then lastly, on the lunch piece, this is a venue that has concessions. They have some rules centered around their foods. So outside of any specifics on dietary needs or anything along those lines, there's no outside food allowed. So we can't bring a big cooler in there with bag lunches for the team or whatever, or we can't bring, order a bunch of pizzas to Bolero because that would be fun. I understand that, but they have food services provided on top of the food services that we are providing for you. So there's no outside food allowed outside of obviously any specific dietary needs. Latea? Awesome. Health considerations. So just a couple of quick things here. COVID interrupted guidance. Any individuals that are unable to compete on the scheduled date will be a scratch. Now, this isn't just for COVID interrupted, but this is going to be a general application as well. And doubles and teams that are missing a bowler may use the substitution or the absentee rule. And the substitution will be applicable for any qualified for the state tournament bowler. And they cannot bowl, and Jim, hop in here if I'm incorrect, but they are able to bowl in 2 events. So if they're in one and they have the second, they would be okay with that, but they can't do 3. Is that accurate?
That is correct. 2 of the 3 events.
2 of the 3 events. So if you got a single bowler that is only bowling once in their singles and you have the opportunity where there's a gap in your team for whatever reason, a student athlete couldn't make it, and that single bowler you want to sub in for your team, you can do that because they are state qualified bowler. So as long as they're not bowling more than 2. Okay. Absentee rule is the same as normal. It's going to be, Jim, is it 75% of your average?
Correct. 75% of the bowler's average.
75% of the bowler's average. So that's that again is not just for COVID guidance, but I wanted to throw that in there because we've got our positive participation requirements note in there as well, and basically states that if you've got an individual that tested positive for COVID, they're out for 5 days, and if there's no symptoms or anything after that 6th day, they can come back and start to work back into the rotation. So that highlighted there in blue on our slides actually is a link to go to that document where you can get more information on that. It is not changed in some time, and so if this is the document that sounds like that you've operated under this, whether it be under adapted floor hockey or adapted soccer, or you've taken a look at it for coming up of adapted softball, this is that same document there. Okay, and then lastly on the health consideration piece. we do have a private and medical space available. We actually have 2 of them this year. So we have a larger back storeroom that we're going to set up with some chairs so that if there are any, I don't want to say medical, but like any sort of medical service type needs or anything like that, or any changing or anything like that that has to happen, we'll have that space available. That will be off of our headquarters down the hallway that's near the north side of the building. And we also have a smaller office area near the front of the building that will be available as well. And those are both totally private. They're both all cut off. There's no visibility in those rooms, and they have a closing door. So those will be available to you. The one note that I would like to say about this is that coaches or ADs, whoever's on the call for your organization, make sure that you're communicating with your paras that this is still a public, this is a building that we are renting, and we're working with the facilities that we have. We're going to do our best to make sure that we give you a good spot to take care of your student athletes and your patients in the way that is best for them. But we're also working with the confines of a building or facilities that is rented. So we're going to do that as best we can. So if you could prepare your coaches, your paras, anyone working with your student athletes, that's going to be the case, and we'll do whatever we can to provide the best space for you, but we are limited in what we're able to do. And with that being said, I've had the question posed to me, well, go find another bowling alley, go find another place. We've got 2 bowling alleys that have 48 lanes that give us the opportunities to service this many bowlers in this capacity, and this is still a very good option for us. So we'll do what we can to make sure that our student athletes are taken care of, and those taking care of our student athletes are feeling supported. So we'll make sure to do that. Come and find us if you need access to one of those spaces, either myself, Jim, or if you can't find one of us, Latea will actually have direct access to us, either cell phone or radio or something along those lines. So we'll do what we can, but just understand what we're operating in, and let's all work together to get that mission completed. Next slide, please. All right, so we talked a little bit about a letter to the coaches from our tournament manager. So there's a couple of quick points of notice for all of you. There's been concerns that were brought to the attention that there were a lot of kids, or too many kids, on the lanes that were not actually bowling. Okay, so it's imperative that we keep kids that are not bowling off the lanes and let the kid that is bowling have the space to operate in the way that they need to. All right, so I'm asking coaches to help manage this, and please do what you can to find a designated spot for your other student athletes while they're waiting for their turn to bowl. So let's just make sure that we're being proactive in communicating with our kids, obviously being positive and uplifting, but moving them around where needed so that bowler's not crowded and there's not anything that could be considered like interference or maybe tampering. Sounds a little bit too official, but we want to make sure that person bowling is able to focus on what they're doing. So reporting of any scratches or substitution to myself, the tournament director, before the round is started. So I will be, as well as our tournament manager, Jim Muckenhern, will be kind of hovering around the Bolero center table there where the shoe rental is at. And I'm going to work on having a table set up there, but I will be hovering around that area for most of the day. If there is a scratch or there's a substitution, it's got to come and get to me before that round is started. So I will be there and be able to make those adjustments for you. The electronic scoreboard is the official score. If there's any problems with that, we've got to connect with the Bolero staff right away. So get up there. This is not new. All of you have done this in some capacity, I believe, for the most part. We've got a great staff at Bolero. They will be staffed really well this year. We've made that a point of emphasis with them. And if the qualifying event is any indication of how serious they're taking this event, we're going to be in a good spot and handled well this weekend. Latea? So our PI bowlers, coaches, and this is in our qualifiers guide as well, but coaches can assist in chairs and or needs of a ramp. One assistant per bowler on the lane is allowed, and the assistant can place the ramp down, but all the final adjustments need to be done by the bowler. So the assistant must not interfere with the bowler on the adjacent lanes either. So again, that comes back to that interference aspect of being mindful of where we're at when we're doing that. And then lastly here on our coach's note is where the results will be located at. So coaches or schools are asked to verify their participants' bowling scores with their handicaps in the MSHSL tournament headquarters prior to the event's award ceremony. So after everything's wrapped up, everything's going to be posted here on the respective state tournament bowling page, or excuse me, the activity page. And then please get in there as soon as the rounds wrapped up, get those verified, and give us the thumbs up on it so we can get rolling. And then let's see here as I'm scrolling. This is sorry, I kind of lost my spot here, gang. All right, on to our state tournament certificates. So I was approached early on, once everyone kind of found out that I had adapted bowling, about some sort of recognition for all student athletes in the state tournament. And so one of the things that I had to remind the individual that came to me was that our state tournament participant certificates are on the dashboard. And so so we want to see that every one of our student athletes that is participating in the state tournament has the certificate in their hand. Obviously not at the event itself, but we want to make sure that they're getting the recognition, their families are getting the recognition of our student athletes qualifying for our state tournament, and that's a big deal. Not everyone gets medals in bowling. We've got hundreds of qualifiers and everything that's going on there, but everyone can get a participation certificate, and that's a big deal when not everyone qualified. Everyone in adapted floor hockey qualifies for the tournament. Not everyone qualifies for the adapted bowling tournament, and so it's a big deal. Let's make sure that they're getting the love and recognition that they deserve as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Laura to talk a little bit about how to assist you either as a coach or an AD of getting this all set up and getting those certificates, and then move into some other notes on the website and the functionality piece. Laura?
Great. Thanks, Phil, and good evening, everyone. Congratulations to you and your bowlers, and we're looking forward to an exciting Friday at Bolero in Brooklyn Park. As Phil said, the activities directors in your building have access on their dashboard to print state tournament certificates. These are the state tournament certificates that are given to all athletes in all sports, as well as our fine arts participants who qualify for state tournaments. On that page on the dashboard, your AD will find directions, they'll find templates, they'll find a video tutorial on how to do that. And again, if they've had people qualify in other state tournaments, this is a very common format for ADs and folks in their office. The page that is located on, well, only the AD has direct access to it. They can share that URL of that page with you if it is something they want, if they want you or someone in your area to manage printing those certificates. But again, many of our ADs and their assistants, this is a very common piece to them. Again, with your adapted program, sometimes you need to give those ADs a reminder that this needs to be done for your programs also. But please work with them to get those state tournament certificates printed to honor and celebrate the kids in your programs that participate. The next slide just gives you some information about some resources for adapted bowling that are on the website. And these are really things that are for you, but even more, these are things to share with the parents and others in your community who might be coming to attend the state tournament and or want to follow along from afar. So on the adapted bowling pages, and again, if you go under sports and activities, there are actually 3 adapted bowling pages. There's one for CI, one for PI, and one for ASD. They really have the same resources on them once you get to them. On those pages, again, great information for your spectators. There's a schedule posted there, which again helps people kind of know the schedule for the day. There is a spectator guide that is posted on those pages. That is really our office's work to do a printable, if you would, guide for people who are coming. Often coaches or ADs try to gather the resources for their fans and put them together. We believe that we've done a lot of that work for you in those spectator guides. You'll also find a link for Apparel. We will have streaming at the tournament of award ceremonies. That is complimentary. It is at nspn.tv. And again, if you have folks from your communities or your schools that are not able to attend but want to follow along, streaming is a great way to do that. There's also a button on that page for results, and that's a very important place for your fans and your spectators, but that is also the spot where you're going to go to confirm your bowler scores. So again, if you go to any of those adapted bowling pages, you'll see a results link. That link takes you to a number of buttons. That is where you'll already find the names of bowlers that have qualified, but that is where scores will start to be entered during the tournament. And again, you'll hear Jim and Phil announcing throughout the tournament that you need to check those scores. That is the place that you can do that. And again, telling your spectators at home that they're welcome to follow along remotely also. And finally, our online souvenir program, I believe, went up about midday today. Again, that is a great feature for all of our fans and spectators. A great souvenir for a reminder of the great event. Let's see if you want to go on. Apparel. Apparel, again, a button will be on those state tournament pages. Our apparel will be available on site as well as online. And Phil, I'm going to turn it back to you to finish talking apparel and move on with the rest of the meeting.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. I appreciate that information. Yeah, as far as apparel goes, gang. So one of the things that as my responsibility overall with the league is our tournament apparel. So I try to make sure that any tournaments I'm in, it goes smooth, and we've got some great designs and we have some fun with it. So Signature Concepts is our new apparel partner. They've done a phenomenal job all year at getting pieces that the kids love, that the spectators love, and are really cool looking. So you can go, as Laura said, and get kind of a sneak peek on that, a little teaser on what the design is. Lataya, if you go on to the next slide, we can show that real quick for those on here. So we've got kind of a cool hoodie, and then we've got a t-shirt that's available as well. And so those things will be for sale in the venue, and then they also have a QR code that you can scan and order and have it shipped directly to your house if they don't have the size that your kid wants or something along those lines. So we've worked really good with Signature Concepts. They've been a great partner for us, and I'm excited to see some of the things that they put together for not just our adaptive bowling tournament, but for everything that we've done so far this year. So let's go ahead and kick forward one more here. Awesome. So kind of wrapping up here. Sorry, I got a lot of phones beeping and stuff here. Apologies. So kind of wrapping up here on it, we've hit some key topics in our participation guide, some different things centered around the fan experience, and a few things around our facilities. Are there any questions or any? Let me back up before I open it up to questions. Laura, Tim, or Jim, are there any quick notes that anyone wanted to throw out there that we maybe missed in our 12 slides of presentation here? Laura, thumbs up. Good. Tim, you doing okay over there?
Yeah, just a quick reminder, that we do have media that come and cover the adapted bowling state tournament. Often we will have local TV who will come and get footage and maybe inquire about any unique feature stories, or just the ability to spotlight just these wonderful participants. And you'll also have your local media. If there are any ADs on the call, if you have student media that's interested in attending as well, just have them seek one of us out when they arrive on site, and we're happy to share any kind of guidelines so that they can have a positive experience as it relates to covering this event as a student media member. We all will be on site for questions, and we're happy to guide you. Best wishes and best of luck for everybody for a great state tournament.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Muck, you got anything?
Just one thing that comes up, we talked about having the kids out of the, pulled back so that they're not in the way of the bowlers. We got the same thing with parents and grandparents that want to get up there and see. And if they're getting in the way, make sure you come see me and let me know, and then I'll come visit with them and we'll get them moved out of the bowling area.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Jim. I appreciate that. Lauren gave me a thumbs up. I believe you're good on your front. Last two things that I'll mention here real quick is I appreciate all those that got their lunch forms in, and I understand that there may have been some hesitation on doing the lunch because of how they were bogged down last year. So that's why we came up with the box lunch piece, so that we're not reliant on the speed of a pizza oven, ability to cook to get out, so we can get that going. So that's why we went with this. So I appreciate those that got it in. I do have one question for any of those on the call. We had a order form that was turned in for an order of 46 lunches, but there was no school name filled out with it. So is that anyone's on the call? If that was yours, it was 23 turkey and 23 ham that was filled out. And I haven't placed the order because there was no school name on there or coach name. Is that accurate, Latea? No coach name either? Yep. So if that's anyone on here, would you unmute and just say it was whatever my team was? And if not, we're just going to leave it as unfilled and probably send an email out tomorrow morning to everybody to make sure we're not going to have 46 kids there that aren't getting a lunch. No takers? Okay, cool. Latea, we'll shoot that email out tomorrow morning to see if make sure that was just a trial or a mishap or whatever have you. And then secondly, the last thing is, I mentioned that I take care of the marketing and sponsorship for the league. We've got a new partnership with Devani's. If before or after the tournament is done and you are looking for a team meal or a team meeting place, there's a Devani's in Brooklyn Park, not too far from the Bolero. And what will go out tomorrow is like a Devani's flyer that has an incentive, like a percentage off if you guys go to Devani's or something like that as one of our partners. So kind of a cool deal there, especially for some of our out-of-state places that want to grab some food before they hit the road again to go back to the out-state areas. So with that, I appreciate everyone being here. I'll open this up to any questions anyone has for myself, Latea, Tim, Jim, or that's it, me. So any questions, anyone?
Yes, this is Pam Brown from Tartan High School.
Hey, Pam.
Question about, we were doing the qualifying on last Thursday.
Yep.
And they ran out of shoes sizes. So is that going to, and that was not even as many as will be out there at this time. I can get shoes from the bowling alley we bowl at. Is that a suggestion you make? And it wasn't for all sizes, it was for the bigger sizes.
Gotcha.
So I'm a little nervous about that.
Understandable. Jim, do you have any feedback on that? I guess I know where I would go immediately, but Jim, do you got anything?
Well, I guess this is the first time it's come up, but we have had kids bring their own shoes and own balls,
Okay.
and have allowed that to work. So
Yeah, Pam, I'd say if you have an opportunity where you can get them and insure your kids.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that
the
then.
shoes, I would go ahead and do that. I would just make sure that you got some way to track them or whatever, so your kids aren't handing them back into Bolero on accident,
Okay.
But yeah, I would definitely encourage that then if that was the case. That's the first I heard of that. I haven't ever heard that before.
And it was just the bigger sizes, but it was weird. So I'll do that. I'll just grab them from our.
Kids are getting big these days. Those 12, 13, 14s are going quick.
Exactly. That's the sizes.
Yep, I understand. Cool deal. Thanks, Pam. Any other
Thank
questions
you.
or anything?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Betty Benson from East Side.
How are
We
you?
have a student that tells us where he wants the ramp. He does not move it himself. Is that right?
Jim?
well, I guess,
You from the
Where-
rule, you can help him place the initial one, and if that's okay, if that initial placement is good, I'm okay with that. If there's any adjustments or anything, I think he's supposed to do that. Is that right, Jim?
well, if he's giving verbal adjustments and where the rule is that the coach isn't standing behind the ramp and looking down the lane and trying to line it up. If they're off to the side and the kid says move it a little more right, we can certainly do that, yes. But we don't
Okay.
want the coaches standing directly behind and lining it up for the kid.
Okay, yeah, we don't do that. He just tells us left, right, or in the middle. That's what he
Yeah.
tells.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Gotcha. Thank you.
thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? Before we-
Chris Withers from Zimmerman.
How you doing,
What
Chris?
does it mean to register? I mean, who needs to be there? What do I need to bring?
So when you come into the Bolero, when you walk in, you're going to receive a packet of information from the league. That's going to have your bag tags. Obviously, we want to take care of the food orders and any of those things that may or may not be there, depending upon. Latea, what else is in the registration packet?
Registration is really a check-in. If
Yep.
you could think of it as just checking in where you get your package, you get your meal tickets. Usually we have had coaches sign in that they were there. And that's, that's really what that registration part is.
So if it's just me and not my athletes, that's okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you're going to get an envelope that has all the stuff for you basically at that time. Yep.
That's what we want, is just the head coach or a coach in charge checking in at the registration table. We don't want all the kids. We don't need all the kids or any of the extra coaches there. When they come in, they can just go right to the lanes and find their lanes and get ready to go.
Perfect. Okay.
Good deal. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you being here. Any other questions for the peanut gallery tonight? Good deal. All right. Well, again, like I said at the beginning of this meeting, this is the first time that we've done this, and I want to be really respectful and cognizant of people's time on a Tuesday evening. So with that, we're going to sign off. I just wanted to say thank you. Again, this meeting was recorded and it will be on the activities pages that you can go to on the mshsl.org site under your state tournament resources. So these slides, along with the participant guide and the recording of this, will all be on there linked so that you can get access to it if you want to recap or go back through anything. So I want to, for starters, thank all the MSHSL staff and tournament manager that's here taking the time out on their Tuesday night. And then secondly, congratulate and thank all of you for taking some time to be here tonight to make sure we're putting ourselves in a good spot for this tournament to go great for these kids. So I'm excited to see you all in person this Friday. We're going to have a great event. So if you need anything, or if you just want to come and introduce yourself to me in person, I'd love to meet you. And I hope that we're starting off a good long-term relationship. So with that, congrats, have a great night, and we'll see you all on Friday. Thanks a lot.